All right. So my name is Nicole Sellars. I am a certified professional coach. I specialize in broadcast media. I'm also a media trainer. And I launched my own company, TV Hosting Academy, in 2012 in New York City. My main mission was really to get experts, entrepreneurs, and business owners comfortable in front of the camera, but also help them kind of create their own pitch and their content for the media. So a little bit of background on myself, just so you know where my background is coming from. I have 20 years of experience. I'm not dating myself, but 20 years of experience in TV and film, as well as broadcast media. I started out as a production assistant at MTV Networks in New York City. Then after about 3 years of being there, I really discovered that I loved interviewing people and producing and writing and creating content that back then it was the TRL days with Carson Daly. I'm dating myself again, but I used to watch Carson Daly on TRL live every day, and I really wanted to do what he was doing. He was creating these relationships with people and his audience just by being himself and super authentic and cool and fun and interviewing celebrities. And I thought it was just the greatest job on earth. So after I left MTV, I said, I really want to give broadcast journalism a try and hosting. I didn't really know the difference between the two. And I wound up taking a broadcast journalism course over the summer from MTV to the following year. It was 2003 to 2004. And I was lucky enough to get my first general assignment news reporting job on Long Island, New York. So after spending many years as a journalist and anchoring and reporting and also MMJing, which is multimedia journalism, that's a fancy word for being like a one-man show, shooting, editing, creating your own content. I moved to Cleveland, Ohio, and I worked for the NBC affiliate station there as their digital trend reporter and their fill-in anchor. That was awesome because I came up with the segment idea myself. I pitched it to them as something that I thought that they needed, and they bought into it, and it was a great segment. I worked there for a couple years and then moved back to New York because that was home. So when I moved back to New York, I was the host for AOL Live, which was their first live news programming venture that they wanted to pioneer for doing live news every hour on the hour. I worked for AOL as well as NYC TV as their host, just doing stories around the city and showcasing really cool places in Manhattan. I was also a freelance writer for Comedy Central, which was a lot of fun because that was content creation, but it was more on the fun side of things. And I was and still am a contributing writer for Backstage.com. I'm an actor as well, so that was my audience that I was trying to reach. All on-air performers watch Backstage or read Backstage online, so that was really just my perfect audience. So I'm a contributing writer for them as well. And I'm also working with, you can see my chat window, but not the Q&As. Okay, cool. So let me just shrink my chat box. Sorry about that. And I also worked as a communications and branding specialist for large companies and experts. So I have a long line and a long list of places that I worked within the broadcast industry, but also the media industry and production. So in 2012, I launched TV Hosting Academy, and basically our mission is to help broadcasters, hosts, experts, and influencers become more confident on camera, but also refine their branding message and secure talent representation. So anyone looking for an agent or a manager or a publicist, that's where we come in to help. A lot of my clients went on to work for Fox Business News, local or national news. Also, they became hosts for QVC and other platforms as well. So I have a long list of clientele that not only are on-air talent, but also business professionals who just need to brush up on their on-camera skills and how to speak on camera and build their brand through the media. I became a certified professional coach in 2018 because I felt that I needed to offer my clients something more than just the on-camera coaching. And this allowed me to really work deeper with them on their strategic career plan and their future goals. So I just felt that I was offering them a lot more than just the superficial on-camera talent training. So what exactly is a professional coach? I get this all the time. Oh yeah, I worked with a coach here and there and everywhere. And there are a lot of coaches out there, but the International Coach Federation, they are like the gold standard of coaches. They define coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their potential. Now, what does that mean? That means that I engage in deep conversations with my clients, and we establish their goals, and we talk about a strategic plan for them to reach their goals. Coaches honor the client as the expert in his or her life and work, and believe every client is creative, resourceful, and whole. Now, what does that mean? That means that I'm not going to tell you how to do your job or what you should be doing within your brand or your niche, but we will discuss what makes sense for you in the grand scheme of things, and we're going to be partners along the journey to reach your end goal. And we also provide structure for decision-making and focus. And we also help guide through struggles and victories. You need that partner to guide you through those ups and downs. They also help set goals and achieve them. And, we're your accountability partner. I know too many times that my clients will say, oh yeah, I'm going to get to it, or I'll get to it next week or maybe next month. And if they don't have someone checking in on them, it just never happens. Guilty also. So I think we all kind of need an accountability partner. How is everything flowing so far? Do I have any questions thus far? Because now we're diving into the branding. Anyone? Any questions so far? No? Okay. Now I want no Q&As. All right. So far, so good. All right. We're jumping into how to define your brand. Now, many of you may have already established your brand, and that's great, or your niche. But for those of you who don't exactly know why you need a brand or a niche, I'm going to tell you why. First, to pick a brand or a niche, you have to, what are you known for? What is something that you have so much experience with that your friends or your colleagues or acquaintances will know you for? Is it your style? Is it your your expertise? What's your style type? Are you on the conservative side, or are you a little, more rough around the edges, or a little bit more edgy? Try and be as specific as possible, because that's how you're really going to attract your audience. What can I talk about easily? This is something that I always suggest to my clients is there something that you're passionate about, or that you have a ton of experience in, that you can talk about super easily for hours upon hours and never skip a beat? Also, what do I have a strong opinion on? I follow a lot of influencers who have a lot of strong opinions on the products that they use. And I love that, because it cuts through all the BS. And at least I know, okay, they are super, hands down, they love this product, and this is why. They have a strong opinion on this or that. And that's why their audience trusts them. And what value do you add? Okay, so we're going to talk about your experiences and the story that makes you unique. So when you're talking about what value that you can add to a story or a segment or content, talk about your story. What's unique to you? Your credibility. It could be your education, your experience, or advice that you give on a regular basis. So maybe you have a master's degree, or maybe you have a certification that allows you to claim yourself as an expert in that certain area. That's certainly going to build your credibility within the eyes of the media. And something that you're passionate about. And passion just doesn't necessarily need to be a hobby or something that you kind of like. Passion is something that you commit to regularly, that you research, you follow trends on. So maybe it's, tech trends, or mommy products, or mommy and me classes, or it could be anything that you're passionate about. Maybe it's cooking. So always think along the lines of, what value can you add? Okay, and building your brand. So when you're building your brand, research and be very niche specific. Think about what type of content that you're going to create. It could be photos, videos, tips. Think along the lines of keeping that consistent branding message. Also, daily posts. My suggestion is at least one time a day in a news feed, and also 3 times a day in stories. That's at a minimum. I know life can get overwhelming and super crazy. So if you can do that, that would be great, because it's creating engagement and showing consistency. And it's also building your following and portraying an image that's consistent with your brand. Now let's talk about different niche styles or different niches. Now, the reason why this is so important is because when you're pitching yourself as the expert, there are certain platforms that go with certain niches. So, are you more directed toward lifestyle? Maybe it's fashion, beauty, family, food, health and wellness, self improvement, business, financial, or spiritual. Now, the reason I picked a lot of these is because these are the most popular of the niches. And if you research the platforms within these type of styles, you're already going to have your audience set. So that's half the work done for you. Now, let's talk about how to stay relevant. So, when you pitch yourself to the media, you really need to think about what's currently happening in the news. How do I stay relevant? How do I pitch an idea that makes sense for what's going on that day or that week? So, I'm just going to use an example for a fashion blogger. So, you may think, like, okay, how can I come up with a newsworthy angle as a fashion blogger? Well, maybe your hot topic is how to repurpose or get creative with the clothes in your closet. And what's your why? Your why is because people really don't want to go out shopping right now during COVID. I know I really don't want to go to a crowded store. So I'm going to think about, what do I have in my closet that's going to look stylish, but I can kind of mix and match and make work from last season or the season before. What are maybe my go-to pieces that I can use right now? And many times people are, doing virtual meetings. So they're doing Zoom meetings. So maybe from the, the waist up is fine, but just think of newsworthy angles that you can use. Also, what value can you add to the segment? Is it a tip? Are they trends that you're setting? Anything that you can come up with that's going to add value or educate the audience? And research what similar experts are doing in your area. So if you're lifestyle, or if you're on health and wellness or fitness, check out what the other experts are doing, not only on morning shows, but maybe it's podcasts, maybe it's a YouTube channel, maybe it's social media. Follow them on Instagram, see what they're doing, just get some ideas. I'm absolutely not saying to copy what they're doing, but kind of get an idea of what's working and what's kind of attracting their audience and creating engagement. Now let's talk about why a niche matters. So hosts and journalists always need to interview experts for segments, okay? They can't have these segments without experts on them. It would be a really, really boring show. And I've interviewed so many experts, and I can tell you this, it's better to have a boring expert than none at all, because to carry a show yourself is exhausting. Brands look for experts to help sell their products and services. And I'm going to get to some statistics in a little while that are just going to blow your mind with respect to what influencers bring to the table with brands. And publications look for guest posts from experts. So let's say Forbes or Lifehacker or Family Circle. So how does this help? Well, it creates visibility. The more viewers, the more traffic to your website. And when they get to your website, they're going to see who you are, the services that you provide, maybe it's some products that you're selling. So traffic to your website equals sales of your products and services. So the media coverage, which is all eyeballs on you, plus your website hits, that's some serious cash for you. So it all makes sense when it's combined with the media appearances plus a go-to. So maybe it's your website, maybe it's an event, maybe it's something that you're promoting, maybe it's a product that you're selling. So now I have a lot of clients who have something called the imposter syndrome. And what that means is they don't feel like they're good enough to be the so-called expert, or they don't have enough experience, or they don't have enough credibility. So I try to just knock that out of their head and tell them right away, you are the expert because you have a unique story and experience to tell. Between your experience, maybe it's education that's applicable to your niche or your brand, the research that you're doing consistently, your credibility that you've built with either media appearances or guest posts or just your content that you're constantly putting out there, that all contributes to you being the expert. And the more people that follow you and the more research that you do and the more information that you're giving them, the more credibility you're building. So be factual, informative, and fun. Okay. How's everybody doing so far? Good so far? give a yes. I'm going to take a sip of water. All right. We're all good so far. Loving it. Good. Okay. Okay. We are now diving into how to establish yourself as the expert. So now that we've wiped away the imposter syndrome, we know you are awesome and you are the expert in your area because you've done your research and you're putting out your content and you are just the go-to person in your niche. How do you establish yourself as this expert? Well, there are a few different ways. One, you can create a guest post or several guest posts for publications that already have your audience. Remember, I said half the work is done for you. They already have it. They already have that audience. Media appearances. So as I mentioned before, it could be podcasts, it could be YouTube channels, it could be morning shows, it could be segments on different types of programming. What about your own blog posts? You could have it on your own website. I'm sure there's a lot of bloggers out there. And social media content. That is a biggie. And I am still struggling with that, but I'm trying to do my best. I'm not a social media expert, but I'm really, really trying, especially on Instagram and TikTok. Okay, everyone, TikTok, what are we feeling with this TikTok thing? I'm not on it yet, but apparently that's the go-to. That's the next big thing, right? Anyone, TikTok? Okay, so let's talk about content for a minute. What about, I feel like it's for kids. Yeah, Steph, I totally agree with you. But honestly, the more I'm hearing about TikTok, it's for everybody now. It's just crazy. But I'm definitely going to learn more about that to build credibility and gain more of an audience. So let's talk about some of the content and what adds value. Always ask yourself, what adds value when you're producing your own content? What's the takeaway? So when my audience or my followers are checking out my stories or my tips or my IGTV, what is the takeaway? Or is it just me looking cute and showing off an outfit? That could be entertaining too. I mean, totally depends on your niche. If you're going to do a video, try and keep it simple. I find 1 to 3 minutes is always the best. Anything over that, I find people tend to get a little bit bored and move on fairly quickly. And be engaging. I always try to either drop a comment or respond or a like or just something to engage in Facebook groups and Instagram especially. And you should have an ask. If with every post, drop a comment below, or maybe you're taking a poll or anything that's really encouraging them to engage with you. That is really going to drive up your followers, but also your engagement and your insights. And that's what brands look for. Now, how to engage. We're talking about engagement. Let's talk about how to engage. So talk to your audience specifically. Let's not get into, let's talk to one audience about this topic and another audience about another topic. If you know your audience and you know what they like, they're coming to you for one specific thing. So if you're a fashion blogger, they're coming to you for fashion. They don't want to see you cooking in the kitchen. They don't want to see you giving tips on what movies to watch. It might be cute as a story, like, hey, this is what I'm doing behind the scenes. That's totally cool, makes sense because Instagram stories are totally different than your posts and your content. It's just keeping everyone engaged. But try to comment on other people's posts as well with your audience. So if you're following, let's say, another expert within your niche, right? So you're following someone that's similar to what you do and you see their audience, comment on their comments, because that's just driving eyeballs to your account. Be authentic and consistent. I cannot tell you this enough. I went from being a hardcore, like, breaking news anchor to a host and an actor where I'm like, I don't care what people think anymore. I don't need to be this perfect little Barbie doll in this box to come off credible or likable. Right now, more than ever, everyone is broadcasting from their living rooms, their bedrooms, their offices with barking dogs and kids screaming, and people love it. And it's because they don't feel like you're so unreachable. So if you're authentic and consistent, people will just stick with you and rely on you for information. Also keep your theme and promote what you like and why. So if you're picking a product or you're using a certain product or a service, say why you like it. Is it just because maybe you're getting a cut of it because you're an affiliate, or is it because you know this stuff really works? And because just know your audience trusts you more than ever. And I'm going to get to those statistics next. They believe every word that you say. So they're entrusting you. So just stick with your research, do your research, because right now it's like the Wild West on social media. Anyone can pretty much put out anything that they want. So just do your research. And that's like the journalist in me. I feel like we have an obligation to be truthful and factual and do our research no matter what we promote. So even if it's maybe it's a health product or a health food or a vitamin, just do your research as much as possible. So now with experts and influencers, why does this even matter? Because these numbers are insane. 70% of teens trust influencers more than celebrities. Okay. 86% of women use social media for purchasing advice. Yes, totally true. I'm one of them. 49% of consumers depend on influencer recommendations. That's just a staggering number. And roughly 6 to 10 teens follow advice from influencers over celebrities. So those numbers just prove to you that it's just your influence matters and what you're putting out there matters. So make it worth it, make it factual, make it fun, and just keep building, keep doing what you do. So how do you monetize this? Okay. Well, there are brand collaborations. So let's say you have, I'm just going to throw a number out there, 10,000 followers, you're a fashion blogger, and you want to collaborate with one of your favorite brands. And DM them, see if they have any sort of programs going on or affiliate programs that you can get involved with. You can host webinars and charge for them. You can do public speaking engagements and charge. I know public speakers that get between 2 and 10 grand an event. Coaching programs. So let's say you're an expert in your field, let's say in social media or photography. You can charge for coaching programs or online courses. Private consulting. Everybody needs someone to point them in the right direction if they have the expertise that you don't have. So always offer that. Private consulting or coaching. Setting up an LLC is cake. I will tell you, if you need help, I will help you. Just a tidbit, LegalZoom is super easy. And I don't get a cut of whatever they get. So I'm not promoting them. I just use them. So they're super easy to set up an LLC if you want to do consulting, and show bookings and media appearances. So media appearances and show bookings aren't typically paid, but if the specific media outlet that you're working with really loves you and they are so enamored of your expertise and you're so great on camera and they want to have you on more, let's say for Fox News or CNN, whatever it is, you can get a contract to be a paid contributor. So if you're a lawyer or a doctor or a health expert, any of those things, you could get something like a retainer where they'll pay you, let's say, I don't know, it could be like $5,000 for 15 appearances, let's say. I'm just throwing out some numbers, but that's how it would work if you are going to be a paid contributor within the media space. So let's get into how to pitch the media. Pause for a sip of water because I'm talking a mile a minute. Sorry about that. How's everybody doing so far? Are we liking what we're hearing so far? Yes, so far, good. Yes, good. Okay, great. Love the feedback. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so how do we pitch the media? So first and foremost, you have to make sure that your brand is consistent across all boards. So it's your website, it's your social media, and it's your content that you're pushing out. So make sure that it's consistent across the board. And here's a good example. I'll use myself as an example as a no-no in the beginning. I had my website for TV Hosting Academy mixed in with my acting website, so to speak. I kind of had everything kind of jumbled at once, as well as my social media. My acting coach said, no, 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 no. You have to separate everything because you have one audience for one thing and one audience for another, and you are totally confusing them. So just make sure that if you have two things going on, maybe you have a day job, and then you have like a side gig or a side hustle that you're trying to build into something, keep them separate because you're attracting two totally different audiences. So make sure that your brand is consistent across all your mediums. Next is your media kit. This is going to be super, super important when you're pitching the media because this is going to give them a snapshot as to who you are as the expert. So I would search some samples maybe on Pinterest. I have a few that I can send you guys, no problem. But there are certain styles that you just might like better that just look nicer. And it's going to consist of your name and title, your contact information, your social media, education, if it's applicable. So let's say you have, like a master's or a certification in health, and you are a health expert. Yeah, that makes sense, right? So I would put any education that's applicable to your expertise. Also, professional photos are a super, super must. You do not want a selfie. You do not want some low quality photo on your one sheet or your media kit. There are plenty of photographers out there, and they're fabulous ones in Atlanta Girl Gang. So I can recommend a couple, but just make sure that you have your professional photos on there. Maybe some logos of media outlets that you've contributed to or have appeared on that just contributes to your credibility. So if you see logos of, let's say, Atlanta and Company or CBS or NBC, right away, you already look credible. So definitely put those logos on there if you've done anything. And think back because I'm sure that many of you have done something with some sort of a group or a media outlet, or maybe it was an interview that you never thought to even bring up, but think back to kind of what you've done in the past. And maybe you have had some sort of relationship or collaboration with a media outlet before that you can use. And also your biography. I would stick to around 200 to 300 words, if that. Try to keep it concise. And now I know a lot of my clients have a very, very, very hard time putting together their own bio, right? So talking about yourself is the absolute worst because someone could talk about you and describe you in, 5 easy minutes, but for you to come up with your own biography is really tough. And I know this. So I came up with the brag bio exercise, which I work with my clients on. And I start with a long sheet of paper, or I know I write everything out. It's crazy. But if you'd rather type it out, that's fine too. Tell your story from beginning to end, wherever it's applicable, wherever your story starts with your career, that's where you would start. Write out everything that you have accomplished from A to Z. Any accolades, honors, or awards that you've received. So you're bragging about yourself like to no end. I mean, you just lay it on super thick, okay? What makes your perspective so unique and how are you different? So there's a lot of bloggers out there. There's a lot of photographers out there. There's a lot of entrepreneurs out there. What makes you different? How is your personal story going to, differentiate you from somebody else? Now, once you've done all that, and it's probably going to be super long, edit it down, break it down into chronological order. Summarize each section and highlight the best moments for yourself. So anything that's really going to stand out to a media outlet, those are the things that you want to highlight. Make sure it's all written simply and not too many details. Just a little tip, in TV especially, we write super simple, conversational, third grade reading level. That's how news reporters write. And it's because people are usually doing 10 different things while they're watching the news or listening to the news. They are not fully engaged or watching the news 100%. They're always kind of doing something else. So you want to make it as easy and simple as possible. Also, roughly 200 to 300 words is perfect because it's not too much, it's not too little, and it offers you the time and the space to, to get into the details of what you do. Now, aside from writing it out, practice your elevator speech because When someone talks to you on the phone, let's say it's the show producer, and they love your pitch and they want to talk to you on the phone and see how you are, or if you're crazy, or if you're cool, or if they want you on, or if you're an expert or not, they can kind of weed it out if they get you on the phone. So avoid a bad conversation and have an elevator speech ready. So practice with, what do you do? If you had to pitch you or your business, how would you do it? Keep it concise and short, to about 30 seconds. What do you want this person to remember about you and your expertise? So again, what makes you different? Within your perfect pitch package, you're going to have your media kit, which can also be called a one sheet. You're also going to want to have a website. So this producer, show producer, or talent booker can go to the website and check you out. They want to know that you're legit. So on your website, you're going to have your bio, your content. Maybe it's video and maybe some other press appearances. They want to see the content that you're putting out. So let's say you've done media appearances before, or maybe you have some blog posts or anything that you have contributed to. They want to see it. They want to see how you perform on camera. They want to see how you speak. They want to see that you are, that you present yourself well. Also video, if you could have a sample reel or a demo reel or a sizzle reel, so to speak, of yourself in different scenarios, showcasing your expertise, that would be ideal. So let's use, let's say a lifestyle expert as an example. So you see on Atlanta and Company, these lifestyle experts, they come on, they talk about, summer trends. We're talking about summer trends for barbecues or summer trends for parties. Maybe having a clip of you doing that, or even faking it. You can have someone shoot you talking about your expertise off camera, so it almost looks like a professional interview. There are ways to kind of, showcase your expertise in a way with high quality production value without necessarily having to be on the air if you don't have it already. So don't think, I don't have anything to show. What am I going to do? Let's talk further after this, because we can talk about how to get that shot for you pretty inexpensively, or you have someone with a really good camera that can shoot you doing things. Coming up with content ideas is something else that coaches help you do, but having something on tape is super, super important because they want to see what you look like. Also, and as I mentioned, any press that you have before. So if you've contributed to any media outlets before, or even any digital platforms. Now it's time to prepare your pitch. So your pitch package, like I said, it's going to have your media kit or your one sheet. It's going to have your headshot or professional photo, your bio, your area of expertise, and topics that you can cover. And don't forget to prep a pitch perfect email to go along with your media kit. So have a nice email already drafted up for when you do pitch yourself to these show bookers or these segment producers. You don't want to just be like, hey, what's up? I'd really love to be on your show. It's got to be very professional. You have to know this person's name specifically, not to whom it may concern. Definitely get a name, and be as informative as you can with what you're going to share and what your expertise is. This is just a sample of a one sheet. I don't love mine, but because I think I say way too much, but this is the gist of one of the samples that I have. So here I mentioned my honors. I'm a member of Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television Radio Artists. I'm an instructor at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting in Atlanta, nominated for Best TV News Reporter by Long Island Press, keynote speaker for Women in Media at the prestigious UGA Grady College of Mass Communications and Journalism. I'm just totally hyping myself up. All this stuff is true, but they want to know your honors and your accolades, like what makes you so unique. And then here's my bio, and here is my title, here's my social media, and then here are my logos of all the places I've worked. So here's MTV, AOL, Boom HD News, which was the very first HD News 24-hour network ever. That was like, oh my God, 100 years ago. NBC and News 12 networks on Long Island. That's where I grew up. Long Island strong, baby. All right, how to pitch a segment. So first, you're going to want to think about a news hook. So this is the title of your pitch. Make it compelling, make it something that someone's going to want to tune into or watch. Choose a topic that's newsworthy and relevant, because if you're not working with what's going on currently in the media, it's just not going to make sense. And they're just going to toss it aside and not even bother. Show how you can help solve a problem or educate them in some way. So maybe it's tips, maybe it's how to solve a problem that's currently out in the news. So maybe, let's say you work in healthcare. Maybe you're a healthcare expert talking about how to stay safe during the COVID times. And maybe it's going back to school and how to keep your kids safe. Something where it's going to create an engagement, but also someone to say, oh, I have to tune in. Oh, I can't wait to watch this segment tomorrow. Also, make sure that you have speaking points. These are going to be your sound bites. I would have roughly 5 to 8 prepared. So these are speaking points that you are going to talk about during your time on the segment. You're going to pitch these or actually show these to the show producer prior to your booking. So they know and they have a clear understanding of what your expertise is and what you're comfortable talking about. Also, share your personal story. That's what makes you unique. Your personal story, no one can take that away from you. The second you start to get clouded with, my industry and my niche is so super saturated. How can I offer anything different? If you're, some type of a blogger, your personal story is what makes you so unique and what makes your followers love you and the audience members love you, and your personality is what makes people love you. So stay true to who you are and stay true to your authenticity and stay true to your personal story, and don't forget where you came from. And don't forget your plug. At the end, you always want to either plug if it's a book that's coming out that you're writing, or maybe it's an event that you have coming up, or maybe it's just your website. You're trying to drive people to your website to drive up your sales, because you're going to have millions of eyeballs on you. You might as well give them a call to action. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm using myself as an example. Nicole is a fashion blogger. I certainly am not, but just for the example's sake, I am going to use this. And this photo was actually taken by an Atlanta Girl Gang member, Sarah, by Photography. She's amazing. So Nicole's a fashion blogger, right? My website, my social media, and videos are all aligned with my fashion brand. That's my brand. That's what I do. My news hook examples, top tips for dressing on a budget, great looks for under $100. This one's my favorite. Work from home wear, how to stay stylish during quarantine. Anything that's really going to hook people in to watch you, and also that makes sense due to the current situation of the world, that's what you want to do. Those are the hot topics that you want to pitch. Okay, how are we doing on time? 7:40. All right. Any questions so far or comments? Anyone? Oh, Sarah, you're here. Yay. Anyone? All right, moving right along. I don't want to miss anything. Okay, broadcast media, talk shows, morning news programs, PBS segments, think local, YouTube, podcasts, think in terms of local first. So if you're trying to build your brand and your following and get eyeballs on your website or your services or your products, start local. That is the easiest way. And all you girls are so connected within the community right now. You must know somebody in broadcast media or with a podcast or a YouTube channel. Utilize each other, because that is the best way to help each other out and build both of your brands, right? And just an example, I have a show, Driven by Detours, which I started shooting prior to COVID. And I have literally reached out to so many Atlanta Girl Gang members to become a guest on the show. So just utilizing each other's, expertise and experience is just great for everybody. Now, where should I pitch, right? Okay. Start local, like I said. So in Atlanta, start with Atlanta and Company, or Fox 5 Morning News. CBS 46 has Atlanta plugged in. Just do your research on what makes sense for your brand or your niche, and what programming makes sense for you, what publications, what segments. So let's say we're going back to the fashion blogger thing. I'm going to connect with producers with any sort of show related to fashion. It's a segment, great. It's a show, great. That's who I'm going to reach out to as a show producer. Let me go back real quick. Okay, target publications that make sense for you. So connect with editors, okay? Do not go to the editor-in-chief or the top banana. Do not do that because they're not going to respond to you. Always try to hit for a managing editor, an articles editor, features editor. Those are the people that have pull with getting your posts published. So if you have an idea for a blog post, then those are the people that you're going to reach out to. And again, make it newsworthy, make it valuable, make it worth it. Here's a little tip. Syndication. If you guys aren't familiar with syndication, it's when a web-based content is republished by a third-party website. So this is like getting the biggest bang for your buck. These are platforms that publish your blog post or your article, and it goes out to, let's say, 5 other platforms, and you only published it to one, and they're already dishing it out to, let's say, 5 to 10 other networks or platforms, and you only did the legwork for one. So that's big bang for your buck. The content creator, which is you, they get free exposure, they get publicity, they get backlinks to their own website, and it boosts organic traffic. So that is just an amazing way to get eyeballs on what you do. And it's all for free. It's awesome. And examples of content syndication platforms. And of course, you can Google this yourself, but here are just a few of them. Outbrain, Taboola, SlideShare, and LinkedIn. Some of them are paid, some of them are free, but do your research and see which ones make sense for your niche and your brand. So find partners that make sense for you and your brand. Use popular high-ranking websites that reach your target audience. I'm going to use myself as an example again. I write for Backstage.com, and they are my audience. I have broadcasters, I have hosts, I have actors that read my articles all the time, and I get a ton of clients that way because I am the expert in that area, and I have millions of eyeballs on my articles all the time. So just do what makes sense for your brand. Reach out to potential syndication partners directly and try to include links to your landing page or website and a call to action to encourage conversions. Let's hit social media super quick here. Okay, so anyone who is not great with social media, connect and comment, engage. I just had an interview with one of the top talent agents in the country yesterday. His name is Mark Turner from A3 Artists Agency, formerly of Abrams. And he told me, and he represents super popular influencers throughout the world. And he told me that the easiest way for influencers to boost their following is to engage, not just consistently post, but engage consistently. So that's commenting, that's liking, that's taking polls, that's showing activity on your account and other people's accounts that you are there and you're engaged. So Facebook groups, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, there's that TikTok again, Twitter, anywhere where you can engage. Now, who do you call to get on these platforms and get your face out there? Show producers, talent bookers, segment producers. Needless to say, if the show is small, like it's a podcast or a YouTube show, and it's like a one-woman show or a one-man show, then yes, you can reach out to the host or the journalist of that show. However, if it is a bigger media outlet or something with a ton of visibility, then do not call the reporter, do not call the host. It just makes you look like an amateur, and you don't realize how important the producer is to that show, and they will get ticked off and probably not use you. So just know who you're calling and who is appropriate for which platform you're calling, if that makes sense. Do your research on who's in charge of that specific segment and ask to be a part of their expert roster. So a lot of them will have a roster with a long list of experts that they like to call. And if you are easy on camera and you're easy to deal with and you are super informative, and easy to work with, you will be at the top of their expert roster and they will keep calling you back. Okay, so once you get invited to the show, you need to be camera ready, gals. So you're going to have your talk points ready, your sound bites, what to wear, obvi, media training, on-camera technique, and your content scripted out. So always know what topics you're going to talk about, what your sound bites are going to be, what your talk points are, what you're going to wear, and we'll talk about briefly what to wear. I know things have changed over the years, but nothing super busy to stay safe, nothing green in case they're using a green screen, but not a ton of polka dots and things like that. Nothing too distracting because the camera just does not like that. Now, why do you need media training if you are getting on camera? Well, to prepare you for media interviews. Training will take time, but eventually you will feel confident with your on-camera technique, your refined brand message, your talking points, and speaking in sound bites. It is very important that if you don't work with a media trainer, you at least research media training in some capacity, whether it's online, working with a coach, because you do not want to get this golden opportunity to get free airtime and millions of eyeballs on you and screw it up. So just be prepared to have all your talk points ready and that you're comfortable talking and be able to pivot if the host or the journalist asks you a different question that you did not prepare for. You'll also gain more confidence from media outlets if you have media training because you're going to be super confident on camera and know what you're talking about. And you're going to build credibility. Okay? So as I'm wrapping up, by now you should have an idea of your brand, your niche, your message, your audience, your ideal media platform, how to pitch yourself, and where to pitch a segment. And total shameless plug right here. I designed this t-shirt for my clients, and it's by Camera Ready Clothing, which was a passion project that I did last summer. And I am so not a designer. So if there's any influencers or fashion, experts out there that want to work with me or collaborate with, a clothing line, touch base with me because it's just not my area of expertise, but I love this shirt. It's cute, isn't it? Anyway, so now that you are all ready to go, I want to get some questions answered for you. I totally am psyched for all of you because I know that now you are at least armed with some information, if not as much information as you need to get yourself some free publicity. Well, you can always email me or go to my website. My website is tvhostingacademy.com. You can click schedule a session. I have a 20-minute time block for free. Anyone who wants to have a chat, please schedule a session with me or email me at nicole@tvhostingacademy.com. And I am on social. My Instagram is TV Hosting Academy. My Facebook is TV Hosting Academy, as well as Camera Ready Community. That's my Facebook group. So if anyone wants to get in on it, I love to collaborate with you guys and keep in contact. And my Twitter, which I am horrible at keeping up, at NC Sellars.